play Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. Tonight Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind. The puppets. And another. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night in Max's room, a forest grew and grew and grew until his ceiling hung with vines, and the walls became the world all around him. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day, in and out of weeks, almost over a year, to where the wild things are. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars, and gnashed their terrible teeth, and rolled their terrible eyes, and showed their terrible claws. Till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with a magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all, and made him king of all wild things. "And now," cried Max, "let the wild rumpus start!" "Now stop," Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. Then all from far away across the world, he smelled something good to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go, we love you, we'll eat you, but we love you so." And Max said no. And the wild things roared their terrible roars, and gnashed their terrible teeth, and rolled their terrible eyes, and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye, and sailed back over a year, and out of weeks, and through a day, and into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him. And it was still hot. The end.
So, Rita, I'd like to give you an opportunity to talk with the puppeteers and maybe ask them any questions that you have about the puppets or the story or anything.
If you have a question, you can just put your hand up. Show that you have a question. Maybe how they made the puppets or something like that. Question, Myra?
Or teachers might have questions.
Was it hard to get the proportion of like the monsters and the boats, all of those proportions right? How did you how did you talk about that?
Who'd like to answer that? Because we had a problem with that, right? Anybody?
I didn't really hear what you said.
So
His
what?
mayor said, was it hard to get the puppets and, like, to fit stuff that we needed into the screen?
Not even in the screen, but like, was the boat was a certain size and the monsters were a certain
Yeah, the
size?
boat was a
To
certain
make
size.
it, so Austin, do you get what I'm trying to ask? How did you do that?
Making the boat smallest, because the boat's not supposed to be bigger than the monster max, so they said it's supposed to be the same size as the monster.
Oh.
What did this is a boat?
Uh-huh.
And Max is already in the boat in his wolf suit.
Didn't we have to remake Max?
Yeah.
We had to remake our first Max because we found out that he was so small that he looked like a mouse in the bed. So, that's a good question. We did have to remake a couple puppets because they didn't look right when we got them up there.
Because the proportion looked really good on the screen.
Right, so we had to work with that. Before you guys hand the puppets over, and I know you want to pass them around, could one of you talk about how you got color into the puppet and maybe how they moved, Madison?
Well, we used leftover scraps. And we used color like paper mache, like that color.
Those were old theater gels from the lights on stage, or the things they slip over the lights. I have a box of them, so they're just transparent colored sheets.
And this is how they move. Like we have this, and we have little straws, and we have little sticks, and then we attach them onto this, and we put the lights on, and then we can like make them wave, or we can like make them jump.
And then how did you make the one that was like the whole bedroom?
The bedroom.
Why don't you hold it up for everybody to see, Madison? Yep.
So it was that like like the old transparency?
Yeah. So, yeah, in our first performance, I said I didn't want to offend anybody, but we were using old-fashioned technologies. And so we're using it's an overhead projector, and Austin actually drew all of the bedroom scenes. He did all that by himself. And then colored it all in, and we put it on the overhead projector, and it projects onto the screen.
Oh, so there's an overhead projector
Behind
that
there.
you did?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
nice.
Okay, let's pass it on to somebody else. Gentle, baby.
Any other questions for our puppeteers or our narrator or?
Did you trace around the monsters in the book to be able to get the right shape for them? How did you make those?
No, they drew them.
They just drew them?
Yeah,
So you looked in the
in,
book and just drew what you
Yeah.
saw?
we did have to remake the monsters too because the monsters weren't big enough. Our first monsters were too small, right? So we redrew them and made them bigger.
And then you just cut out around them?
Yep.
Yeah?
What about the moving arm? Oh, you showed that already, Madison, right? So how many of you pre-K students think that you could make shadow puppets? Oh yeah, you could. You know what you could do? You can use your hand and a flashlight against the wall. Those are shadow puppets. So they're really easy to make. You don't have to do them like this, but you can do really easy shadow puppets with just a light
Like
in your
this.
hand. Yeah.
Bunny.
So it might be something fun for you to try sometime. All right, well, thank you everybody for coming. Great job, third graders.
Pre-K, can you say thank you?
Thank you for inviting us.
You're welcome.
Ow.
Show.
Ask them